Alright, now this next example is going to be a pretty quick one. That's what I always say, but it doesn't always end up being the case. I want to show you a couple things here. We'll create this little status bar, and then I'm going to show you something about creating this icon right here. So let's start by drawing out our little status bar. I'm going to hit R for rectangle, and let's get one drawn out. Let's shorten this up just a little bit. Let's go 3. I think I'm going to drop it to 2. And one thing you'll notice is that it has a little bit of a shadow underneath, and this has a little bit of a shadow too. So let's darken this up first off. Oops, wrong one. Let's get our rectangle selected. I'm going to darken this up just a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command D. I'm going to move that down with my arrow keys 1 pixel. Oh, wrong thing. Let's click out of here. With that rectangle selected, I'm going to use my arrow keys. We'll drop it down just one little pixel. And now let's darken that up a little bit more. There we go. So now we've got that little subtle shadow on the bottom of that. We're going to do the same thing with this guy right here. So let's go ahead and duplicate those. So over here in my layers panel, I'm going to hold down Shift, select both. I'm going to hit Command D. So now we have copies of both and they're on top, which is what we want. I'm going to get way zoomed in here. Let's see if we can resize. Let's go with the width. And I'll just resize these over. Alright, that's a good spot for it. So now, very careful, let's see. So we want that's the bottom one. So we'll want to drag that probably beneath it. Let's select the top rectangle and let's get that greenish color. That kind of greenish blue. Something like that. And now let's copy that hex value because we're going to do it kind of on our own here. I'll select this rectangle here below it. I'll paste in, Command V to paste in that color. Hit enter. And now I just want to click and drag and darken it up. Something like that. Now let's zoom out and see what we got here. So that little subtlety, you have that dark little line underneath and the dark line here. It just adds a little bit more pop to it. Let's do one more thing. Let's get that little oval right there. I'm going to hit O for oval on my keyboard. Hold down Shift. Let's draw one out about like that. Let's change this to white. Drag it right over the top. That might be a little too big. I'm going to drop it down to like 14 pixels. And now let's drag that oval above everything. So it'll be sitting right on top there. And there we go. Okay, next up I want to talk about this greenish icon over here. And let's go ahead and, I don't want to do that. Let's zoom in. And I want to show you the difference between applying a border to something and actually cutting it out. So first let's draw our oval out. I'm going to hold down Shift, draw that out. Let's get the same color here. I'll use my eyedropper. Alright, now let's get a triangle. So come up here to Insert, go to Shape. I wish there was a shortcut for triangles. It'd be so much nicer. I'm going to hold down Shift to draw one out. Let's go something like that. And we'll rotate it. Let's come over here and I think 90 degrees is what we want. Yep, something like that. Let's undo the lock here in the inspector and I'm just going to drag it over, shorten it up just a bit. Put it right on top here. So now you could apply a border, you could take away the fill, and let's thicken this up to make it look a little bit like that. I'm going to go 2.5 maybe. Yeah, something like that. And now you could try to do a Boolean operation, but what's going to happen, I'll show you. I'm going to hold down Shift, get both of those selected, and hit subtract. What it's going to do is going to hollow out the whole thing, because in Sketch's mind it's still a complete shape, even though you just have the border applied. So what you want to do is let's go back here and let's take away the border. Let's get the fill. I'm going to zoom way in. I'm going to hit Command D to duplicate this. Let's change the color. There is a couple different ways to go about this, and I'll show you one more after this. Let's see. This is probably the harder of the two. I'm going to shorten it up until I get it where I want it. Get kind of a border. So something like that. I'm going to hold down Shift, get both of my objects selected, hit subtract. So now I truly do have just the border. If I hold down Shift and select both of these and say subtract, Now I get it, a little hollowed out piece. Not centered, but it's all good. All right, let's zoom out. That's pretty much what I wanted to show you with this one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next example.